The rain hit like a freight train, slamming into the canopy above us with such fury that it drowned out Elijah's scream before it even left his throat. I lunged forward, my boots slipping on the slick mud of the trail, grabbing his arm just as the ground gave way beneath him, a jagged drop-off we'd missed in the gathering dusk. "Logan, don't let go," he gasped, his fingers digging into my wrist like claws, his eyes wide with that primal terror that strips away every pretense between friends. In that split second, as thunder cracked the sky open, I realized I wasn't just pulling him back from the edge of the cliff. I was yanking us both over the precipice of everything we'd buried for years. We'd come to the Olympic National Forest to escape the grind of Seattle, Elijah nursing a fresh breakup from his latest failed Tinder fling, me dodging the endless questions from my family about why I hadn't settled down yet. "Just you and me, bro," he'd said over beers at our favorite dive bar, clapping me on the back with that easy grin that always made my chest tighten in ways I pretended it didn't. Like old times. No drama, no bullshit. But as we tumbled together into the underbrush, rolling down the embankment in a tangle of limbs and curses, I knew the bullshit was about to hit the fan. Hard. The impact knocked the wind out of me, leaves and pine needles exploding around us like shrapnel from a grenade. We slid to a stop against a moss-covered log, Elijah half on top of me, his chest heaving against mine as the rain pelted our faces. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved, just stared, water streaming down our cheeks, mixing with the mud smeared across his freckled nose. "You okay?" I rasped, my voice barely cutting through the roar of the storm. He nodded, but his eyes said otherwise, wild, searching, like he'd seen a ghost in that fall. "Yeah. Jesus, Logan, that was close." He pushed off me, scrambling to his knees, but not before I felt the tremor in his hands, the way his body lingered a second too long. We'd been best friends since freshman year at the University of Washington, bonded over late-night study sessions in the dorms, road trips up the coast, and enough shared heartaches to fill a therapy session. Elijah, with his messy auburn curls and that laugh that could light up a blackout, was the straight guy who made everyone question their assumptions. Me, Logan Hayes, the reliable one, the guy who fixed cars and climbed mountains, hiding behind flannel and football stats because admitting the truth felt like handing over a loaded gun. We'd planned this hike as a reset, 3 days on the Quinault River Trail, backcountry camping to shake off the city's fluorescent hum. Seattle had been suffocating lately. My gig as a mechanic barely covering rent in Capitol Hill, Elijah grinding through graphic design freelance while dodging his mom's passive-aggressive texts about grandkids. "We need this," he'd insisted, tossing me a 6-pack of Rainier as we loaded up my beat-up Tacoma. Woods don't judge. They just are. But the storm had other plans. It rolled in from the Pacific like an uninvited guest, gray skies turning black by noon. We'd pushed on, stubborn as always, laughing off the first fat drops until the trail turned into a riverbed. Then the path forked, unmarked, thanks to some washed-out sign, and before we knew it, we were off course, compasses spinning like drunk sailors. By the time Elijah slipped, we'd been wandering for hours, the river's roar our only guide in the chaos. "Check the map," I said, shaking water from my hair as we hauled ourselves up. My pack was sodden, the nylon tent inside probably ruined, but the satellite phone was the real casualty, smashed in the fall, screen cracked like a spiderweb. Elijah dug into his bag, his face paling under the flashlight's beam. "It's toast. Battery's dead, and the paper one's mush." He let out a bitter laugh, but it cracked at the edges. Great. So we're officially fucked. Not yet. I forced a grin, clapping mud from my jeans. We head downhill, follow the water. River'll lead us back to the trailhead eventually. It was a Hail Mary, but optimism was my armor cracked, but intact. Elijah nodded, but the fear in his eyes mirrored my own. Night was falling fast, the forest closing in like a living thing, branches whispering secrets in the wind. We trudged on, the rain easing to a relentless drizzle that soaked us to the bone. Conversation fizzled into grunts and the squelch of boots. My mind wandered to safer ground. That time in college when we'd crashed a frat party. Elijah charming his way through a keg stand while I nursed a crush in the shadows. He'd dated girls, cheerleaders, baristas, that one intense poet who left him gutted, but I'd always wondered. The way he'd look at me sometimes, lingering hugs after wins on the intramural soccer field, the inside jokes that felt like code. But I shoved it down, every time. Coming out in a family like mine, Dad a retired cop, Mom the church volunteer, meant bridges burned. So I stayed silent, the perfect straight-passing sidekick. An hour in, we stumbled on a shallow cave, more overhang than cavern, but dry enough to hunker down. Elijah dropped his pack with a thud, slumping against the rock wall. "Fire?" he asked, voice small. "Wood soaked." I scanned the gloom. "But I've got those emergency tabs." We worked in tandem, me sparking the flint while he arranged twigs under the shelter. The flame caught, feeble at first, then steady, a tiny rebellion against the wild. We stripped off our wet layers down to thermals, hanging shirts to steam over the heat. The intimacy of it hit me sideways. His lean frame outlined in firelight, the curve of his shoulder, the vulnerability of exhaustion. I looked away, focusing on the blaze. We ate cold protein bars in silence, the river's murmur a constant underscore. Then Elijah spoke, staring into the flames. "You ever feel like life's just waiting to trip you up? Like one wrong step, and boom, everything changes?" I nodded, throat tight. "All the time." "Why?" He shrugged, picking at a thread on his knee. "This breakup, Sarah. It wasn't just her. It was me realizing I don't fit with anyone." His voice dipped, laced with something raw. "What if I'm broken, man? What if that's why it never sticks?" "You're not broken," I said automatically, the words tasting like lies because I'd thought the same about myself 1,000 times. "You're Elijah freaking Harper. You light up rooms. Hell, you light up this damn forest." He met my eyes then, and the air thickened, charged like the storm we'd outrun. "You always say that. Like you see something in me I don't." A pause, heavy as the rain. "What do you see, Logan? Really?" The question hung there, a dare wrapped in desperation. I could deflect, crack a joke, steer us back to safe waters. But the cave felt like a confessional, the fire our only witness. "I see the guy who's been my anchor since day one," I admitted, voice low. "The one who makes the bullshit bearable. The one I trailed off, heart hammering. The one I love." But the words stuck, barbed wire in my throat. Elijah leaned closer, his breath warm against the chill. "Finish it." "Couldn't. Not yet. Forget it. Get some sleep. We'll hike out at dawn." He held my gaze a beat longer, then turned away, curling into his sleeping bag. I lay awake long after his breathing evened out, the fire dying to embers, wondering if the real storm was just beginning. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving, mist curling through the ferns like smoke from a battlefield. We broke camp in silence, the unspoken from last night a ghost between us. Elijah avoided my eyes as we shouldered packs, the weight heavier than yesterday's gear. "Down river," I said, pointing to the swollen Quinault, its waters churning chocolate brown from the flood. "Stick close." "No hero shit," he snorted, but it lacked heat. "Says the guy who once tried to outrun a bear. That was a cub, and it was chasing you." We pushed on. The trail, if you could call it that, a mess of roots and puddles. The forest was alive in the morning haze. Ravens cawing overhead, the distant bugle of an elk echoing like a warning. Seattle felt a world away, our lives there reduced to pixels on a dead phone screen. Elijah hummed under his breath, an old indie tune we'd blasted on drives to Portland, but his rhythm faltered, notes dying on the wind. By midday, hunger gnawed, but we rationed what was left, jerky and trail mix, washed down with iodine-treated water from a side stream. "Remember that time in the Cascades?" Elijah said suddenly, breaking the quiet. "We got snowed in at the cabin. You built that fort out of snow like we were kids." I chuckled, the memory a warm spark. "And you melted it with hot cocoa. Nearly flooded the place." His smile flickered, then faded. "We were invincible then. No secrets. No complications." The word landed like a stone in still water. I stopped, turning to face him. Towering cedars framed us, their trunks wider than 3 men abreast, bark etched with lichen like ancient runes. "Elijah, about last night." "Don't." He cut me off, jaw tight. "Just, let's get out of here first. Then we talk." "All of it." I nodded, but the knot in my gut twisted tighter. All of it meant the crush I'd nursed since sophomore year, the nights I'd lain awake imagining his hands on me instead of hers. It meant admitting I dated women to fit the mold, breaking hearts, including my own, to keep the peace. And if he rejected me, our friendship, this fragile thread, would snap like a rotten branch. The river widened as we descended, banks eroding into muddy shelves. We skirted a fallen log bridge, testing each step, when Elijah's foot caught, a root hidden under leaves. He pitched forward with a yelp, arms windmilling, and plunged into the current. "Elijah!" I dove after him without thinking, the icy water shocking my system like a slap. The Quinault grabbed us both, tumbling us in froth and foam, rocks battering my shins. I surfaced, gasping, spotting his red jacket downstream. "Swim, to the bank," he thrashed, face pale, but the river was merciless, pulling us toward a bend where rapids frothed white. My pack dragged like an anchor, but I kicked harder, lungs burning, closing the gap. Branches whipped past. I snagged one, hauling myself half out, then reached for him. Our fingers brushed, missed, then locked. "Got you!" I roared over the roar, pulling with everything I had. His weight nearly yanked me under, but adrenaline surged. And inch by inch, we clawed to the shallows, collapsing on a gravel bar like beached whales. He coughed, retching water, as I pounded his back. "Breathe, man. You're okay." We weren't. His leg was gashed, blood mixing with river mud, and my ankle throbbed, sprained, maybe broken. The packs were gone, swept away, our supplies with them. "Shit," he wheezed, slumping against me. "We're screwed." "Not yet." But my voice cracked, the bravado gone. Dusk loomed again, the forest darkening to ink. We bandaged his wound with strips from my shirt, the sting of iodine biting deep. Huddled together for warmth, the chill seeped in, but his body against mine was fire solid, real. "Why'd you jump in?" he murmured, head on my shoulder. "Could have lost you too." "Because it's you," I said simply, the truth slipping free. "I'd do it again." He lifted his head, eyes searching mine in the fading light. Rain pattered softly now, a gentle veil. "Logan, I need to tell you something. Before we die out here or whatever." "Don't say that." My heart raced, a drumbeat in the quiet. "I'm serious." His hand found mine, tentative, then firm. "I've been lying. To everyone. To myself. I'm gay, Logan. Have been since. God, since high school." But saying it out loud terrified me. My family's all Bible Belt holdovers, even here in the PNW. And you're the one person I couldn't lose. The world tilted. Gay. The word echoed, unlocking doors I'd bolted shut. "Elijah. And you," he pressed on, voice breaking. "I've wanted you. For years. Those looks, the touches, I thought it was one-sided. That you were straight, perfect Logan, and I was just the idiot pining in silence." I laughed, a choked sound, tears mixing with rain. "Idiot? I'm the one who's been in love with you since that stupid dorm party. Watching you with those girls, dying inside, too chicken to risk it." His eyes widened, then softened, a smile breaking through like sun on storm clouds. "Love. Yeah." I cupped his face, thumb brushing his cheek. "Love." He closed the gap, lips meeting mine, tentative at first, then fierce, years of hunger pouring out. The kiss tasted of river and salt, desperation and home. When we broke apart, foreheads pressed, he whispered, "So what now? We're lost. Half dead. But we're us." I kissed him again, softer. "And that's enough." Night fell, but we held on, planning our escape by starlight. The secrets were out, raw and real, binding us tighter than fear ever could. The morning sun pierced the canopy in golden shafts, turning the mist into something almost magical, like we'd stumbled into a fairy tale, if fairy tales involved sprained ankles and makeshift bandages. Elijah stirred beside me, his arm slung across my waist, breath warm on my neck. For a moment, I let myself savor it, the weight of him, the steady rise and fall of his chest against mine. No more pretending. No more stolen glances. Just this us, tangled in the wild, secrets spilled like acorns underfoot. But reality crashed in quick. His leg was swollen, purple bruising blooming around the gash, and my ankle screamed with every shift. "How bad?" I asked, probing gently. He winced, forcing a grin. "Walkable." "You, same, lies, but we'd get through. Always did." We fashioned crutches from branches, Elijah's a Y-shaped sapling, mine a sturdy alder, and limped upstream, backtracking the river's bend. The quinault calmed here, pooling into eddies where salmon flashed silver, a reminder that life persisted, fierce and unyielding. Conversation flowed easier now, laced with the tentative thrill of newness. "First time I knew," he said, hobbling along, "was junior prom. That guy from debate club, tall, awkward, with those wire glasses. He kissed me behind the bleachers, and it was like fireworks, but terrifying. I nodded, picturing it. Mine was you. That road trip to the Badlands. You fell asleep on my shoulder, mouth open, snoring like a freight train. I just watched you. Wanted to wake you with a kiss, but chickened out. He laughed, the sound echoing off the rocks. Missed opportunity. Haze. We scavenged as we went. Wild huckleberries tart on the tongue. A rusted canteen half buried in silt that we filled from a clear spring. Hunger gnawed, but the berries staved it off, their juice staining our fingers purple like war paint. By noon, we crested a ridge, and there, miracle of miracles, a ranger's cabin squatted in a clearing, chimney puffing lazy smoke. Holy shit, Elijah breathed, gripping my arm. Civilization. We approached cautious, like thieves, but the door swung open to reveal a grizzled woman in Carhartt overalls, shotgun propped casual against the wall. You boys look like drowned rats. Storm get you. Lost our gear, I said, helping Elijah inside. Phone's busted. Any chance of a radio? She eyed us, mud-caked, leaning on sticks, then nodded. Park Service'll have a team out by evening. Sit. Coffee's hot. Her name was Marta, ex-Army, with stories of Namera hikes that made our ordeal sound like a picnic. She patched Elijah's leg proper, slathering antibiotic ointment and wrapping it tight, while I radioed coordinates. Rescue in 2 hours, the crackly voice confirmed. Sit tight. Relief washed over us like the rain had, but under it simmered something sharper, the what-ifs. What happened when we hit dry land? Back to Seattle, with its prying eyes and old habits. Elijah caught my stare across the scarred pine table, his foot nudging mine under it. Promise, silent but sure. Marta fed us stew, venison thick with carrots, bread from a cast-iron Dutch oven, and we devoured it, spoons scraping bowls clean. You two been together long? She asked, not missing a beat. Elijah choked on a mouthful, but I squeezed his knee. Just figuring that out, I said, meeting her knowing smile. But yeah, feels like forever, she chuckled, low and warm. Woods have a way of stripping the bullshit. Good on you. Rescue came at dusk. 2 rangers in neon vests, hauling us into a jeep that bounced us back to the trailhead. Our truck waited, faithful as ever, and as we drove the winding road to Forks, windows down to let in the salt-tanged air, Elijah's hand found mine on the gearshift. Home? He asked. Not yet. I pulled over at a pullout overlooking the Pacific, waves crashing black below. We kissed there, slow and deep, the ocean's roar drowning our whispers. Dinner first. Then we talk strategy. Seattle welcomed us with its perpetual drizzle, the Space Needle a glowing beacon as we crossed the bridge. My apartment in Capitol Hill was a mess. Tools scattered from a half-fixed carburetor, laundry piled like defeat, but Elijah crashed on my couch like it was home, leg propped on a pillow. We ordered Thai from the spot on Broadway, spring rolls and pad CEW steaming on the coffee table, and cracked open a couple of IPAs. To survival, he toasted, clinking bottles. To truths, mine. The food went down easy, but the words didn't. So, he started, picking at a peanut. Us. In the real world, I nodded, heart thumping. Yeah. My folks. They'll take time. Dad's got that whole man of the house vibe. But Mom, she'll cry, then bake pies. What about yours? he sighed, running a hand through his curls. Dad's in denial, thinks it's a phase. Mom's the wild card. She devoured that one Netflix show about queer icons. But coming out, after Sarah, it'll blow up. We do it together. I reached for his hand, lacing fingers. No more hiding. That night, he stayed. We moved from couch to bed, tentative at first, kisses exploratory, hands mapping familiar yet new territory. His skin was warm under my palms, freckles like constellations across his chest. I've dreamed this, he murmured as I trailed lips down his neck, eliciting a gasp that shot straight to my core. Me too. We moved slow, savoring, bodies sinking like we'd rehearsed in secret. Climax came in waves, quiet and profound, leaving us tangled in sheets, breaths mingling. Sleep claimed us easy, his head on my chest, the city's hum a lullaby. Days blurred into a honeymoon haze. Work dragged, grease under my nails at the shop. Elijah hunched over his laptop in coffee shops. But evenings were ours. Walks in Discovery Park, hands brushing casual. Dinners at queer-owned spots in the Hill, where rainbow flags fluttered like welcomes. We came out piecemeal, first to our buddy Marcus over beers, his whoop of joy echoing the bar. Then online, subtle posts that garnered hearts and, finally, comments. But cracks showed. Elijah's freelance dried up, stress etching lines around his eyes. Client ghosted me, he'd mutter, scrolling emails. My shifts stretched long, overtime the only buffer against bills. And family loomed. His parents called from Spokane, voices laced with that passive concern. When are you bringing Sarah around again? One night, after a fight over nothing, dishes in the sink. Really, it boiled over. You don't get it, he snapped, pacing my tiny kitchen. They'll disown me. Cut me off. What then? They won't. I blocked his path, hands on his shoulders. And if they do, we've got each other. This city, these friends, it's our family now. He deflated, burying his face in my neck. I'm scared. Logan. Me too. We made love fierce that night, reclaiming ground, but the seed of doubt took root. The betrayal came subtle, a text glimpsed over breakfast. Elijah's phone buzzed on the counter, screen lighting up, miss you tonight. Same place? Jay. I froze, spoon midway to my mouth. Who's Jay? He snatched it, face blanching. No one. Work thing, but the lie hung heavy. That evening, while he ran errands, I scrolled his unlocked laptop, guilt gnawing, but curiosity sharper. Messages in a hidden folder, Jordan, a hookup app profile pic smirking back. Dates, flirty banter, even after our forest night. Just blowing off steam. One read. Logan's great, but need this. The world grade. Betrayal wasn't a knife. It was erosion, slow and cruel. When he returned, smelling of cologne not his own, I confronted him quiet. How long? Logan. How long? Elijah. Tears welled. A month. Maybe 2. It's not what you think. Panicked. The coming out. The pressure. I needed an escape. An escape. Rage flared. Hot and unfamiliar. I'm your escape? After everything. No. He reached, but I stepped back. I love you. This was stupid. A mistake. Get out. The words tasted like ash. He left, door clicking soft, the silence deafening. Days stretched empty. Work blurred, Friends tiptoed. Marcus cornering me at the shop. Talk to him, man. He's a mess. But pride walled me in. Nights spent nursing whiskey, replaying the forest's promises. Then the call, his mom, voice trembling. Elijah's in the hospital. Overdose. Pills and booze. He left a note. Your name. I drove through sheets of rain. Tires hydroplaning. Heart in my throat. Harborview's ER glowed sterile. Elijah pale in a curtained bay. For dripping slow. Logan. He croaked as I burst in, gripping the rail. What the hell? Tears stung. Anger and fear twisting. You could've. I know. Sobs racked him. I'm sorry. For Jordan. For running. I thought I could handle it alone. But I can't. Without you. The doctor murmured about therapy. Support groups, LGBTQ plus resources in the city. Hotlines for the dark nights. I sat vigil, holding his hand through the beeps and fluorescent hum. The betrayal sting fading against this raw truth. We were flawed, human, but worth salvaging. Discharge brought rehab, a month in a Bellevue clinic, group sessions and journaling. I visited weekends, bringing his sketchpad, our talks rebuilding bridges. I was scared of losing myself, he admitted one rainy afternoon, rain streaking the window. But losing you? That's the real death. Forgive, I asked, throat tight. Already did. For me. He came home changed, tattoo on his wrist. A tiny compass rose, true north. We dove into couples counseling, a queer therapist in Belltown who called our shots without sugar. Seattle's community wrapped us. Pride mixers at Numos, volunteer shifts at the food bank, where we served rainbow cupcakes to kids with stories like ours. Months later, atop Rattlesnake Ledge, city sprawled below like a glittering promise. Elijah dropped to one knee, not ring, but a carved wooden box from the forest's edge. Not marriage. Not yet. But this, us, forever. Will you? I pulled him up, kissing fierce. Hell yes. The woods had broken us open. But in the breaking, we'd found grace. Two men, scarred and whole, writing our story on America's wild heart. Fall crept into Seattle like a thief, leaves turning the streets of Capitol Hill into a blaze of amber and crimson. Elijah and I settled into a rhythm that felt earned. Hard-won. Mornings tangled in bed, coffee brewing as he sketched at the kitchen table, me wrenching engines by day. The apartment, once my solo bachelor pad, bloomed with his touch. Abstract prints on the walls, a fiddle leaf fig thriving in the corner, books on queer history stacked haphazardly. It was domestic, unflashy, the kind of love that sneaks up on you like Puget Sound fog. But undercurrents pulled. Elijah's art career flickered, a gallery show in Fremont netted buzz, but sales lagged, freelance gigs sporadic. It's the market, he'd say, forcing brightness, but I'd catch him staring at his phone, thumb hovering over delete on yet another rejection email. My shop laid off 2 guys, whispers of recession tightening the vice. We budgeted fierce. No more spontaneous oyster runs at Elliott's, date nights swapped for home-cooked pasta and Netflix queues. Family front? Mine came around slower than a fairy in chop. Dad grunted approval over Thanksgiving turkey. As long as you're happy, son. But his eyes darted, uncomfortable in the new normal. Mom baked extra, her hugs lingering, a silent apology for the church flyers she'd once slipped into my mail. Elijah's folks? Explosive. His coming out call ended in shouts. Dad hanging up mid-sentence. Mom visited once, tearful in a Starbucks, clutching a Bible like a shield. I love you, baby. Praying for guidance. He nodded, jaw clenched, but later wept in my arms. It's progress. Sort of. The real storm brewed from within. Nightmares plagued him. Flashes of the river, Jordan's texts morphing into accusations. I'd wake to him thrashing, soothe with whispers and touches, but the guilt lingered like damp rot. Am I enough? He'd murmur in the dark, fingers tracing my scars from that fall. More than, but doubt echoed. Then opportunity knocked. American style, bold, brash, a chance to rewrite the script. Elijah's piece, a series of ink drawings titled Edge of the Wild, inspired by our ordeal, caught the eye of a scout from New York. Emerging queer voices, the email read. MoMA PS1 exhibit. Expenses covered. You in. His face lit like dawn over the Olympics. Logan, this is it. The break. We celebrated cheap, craft beers at Elysian, toasting under string lights. Proud of you, I said, clinking. But under the fizz, unease bubbled. New York meant distance, the city siren call pulling at threads we just mended. He flew out for the install, a week that stretched eternal. Texts pinged constant, galleries insane. Miss your arms. I worked doubles, Grease my companion, but nights alone amplified the quiet. Then, day for a call, not his voice, but a friend's from the scene. Elijah's okay, but bar fight. Some asshole heckled his work, called it fag propaganda, punches thrown. R for stitches. I booked the red eye, landing in LaGuardia amid autumn chill, hailed a cab to the LES. The hospital smelled of bleach and regret. Elijah in a gown, lips split, knuckles raw. What happened? I demanded, collapsing into the chair. Drunk idiot. Thought he was clever. He winced as the nurse taped gauze. Bouncers tossed him. I'm fine. You're not. Anger surged. Not at him, but the world that still spat venom. We cabbed to his crash pad. A walk-up in the East Village shared with transient artists. Walls papered in flyers for poetry slams and drag brunts. That night, we made love urgent. Bodies claiming what words couldn't mine. Safe. Here. The opening was electric. Lofts repurposed into white space. Elijah's drawings hung stark against brick. Swirls of ink evoking river rage. Forest embrace. Two figures silhouetted in revelation. Patrons milled. Wine glasses clinking. Murmurs of raw and visceral. A critic from the Village Voice cornered him. Harper, this captures that queer wilderness. Untamed, unapologetic. What's the personal hook? He glanced at me, hand in mine. Losing myself to find love. In the woods, with the man who saved me. Applause rippled, but as the night wore, I saw the toll. Schmoozing donors with veneered smiles, dodging loaded questions about inspiration sources. By midnight, we escaped to a dive in the Bowery, neon buzzing open like a heartbeat. Overwhelming, he admitted, nursing a whiskey sour. Feels like I'm on display. You're killing it. I brushed his hair back, thumb on his bruised cheek. But if it's too much, no. Resolve hardened his jaw. This is us. Our story. Offers trickled. Commissions from Brooklyn collectives. A residency in the Hudson Valley. He weighed them over late-night calls. Seattle's skyline mocking from my screen. Stay, I pleaded once, voice cracking. Build here. And what? Scrape by forever. Hurt flashed. I need this, Logan. Growth. Not just survival. The fight simmered transatlantic, exploding on his return. Bags hit the floor, words flying like sparks. You're clipping my wings, he yelled, pacing. Afraid I'll fly and leave you grounded? I'm scared you'll burn out, I shot back. New York's a meat grinder, eats artists alive. He stopped, eyes glistening. Or maybe you're scared I'm not worth the risk anymore. Silence crushed. That night, he slept on the couch, the gap between us wider than any river. Winter bit deep, holidays a minefield. We decorated half-hearted, a tree from the lot on Pine, ornaments clinking like accusations. Christmas Eve, snow dusting the sound rare and fleeting. His phone lit with a New Year's gig, performance art collab. Paid. You coming? Packed. Truce fragile. The flight was turbulence, mirroring us. LaGuardia to a party in Bushwick. Warehouse thumping bass. Bodies painted in glow. Elijah center stage in a cage of projected vines. Our forest. Alive. He moved fluid, stripping layers literal and not, vulnerability bared to strangers. I watched from shadows, pride warring with possession, until a hand clamped my shoulder. Logan, right? A guy tall, inked arms, smile sharp. Elijah's mentioned you. I'm Alex. Curator, handshake firm, but eyes lingered. He's brilliant, I said, neutral. More than. We're scouting for a Soho space. Dual residency, him and a partner. If you're game. Art for me? I welded sculptures on weekends. Junkyard finds twisted into abstracts. But showing? Maybe. The after-party blurred. Absinthe shots. Debates on Basquiat's rage. Alex cornered me later, voice low over the din. Elijah's got fire. But he needs stability. You in or out? I drained my glass. In. Dawn found us in a cab. Elijah asleep on my lap. City scrolling gray. Love you, he mumbled, half awake. Love you, but Alex's words echoed. A challenge. Spring thawed us slow. Counseling resumed, unpacking the codependency. My fear of abandonment rooted in Dad's stoic silence, his in the betrayal of his own body. We hiked again, closer trails, Discovery Park's loops, hands linked open now. One evening, bluff overlooking the bay, seals barking below, he turned. I'm staying. For now. The residency. It's tempting, but us? Irreplaceable. Relief flooded. Good. Because I've got plans. Plans. A ring. Simple tungsten. Bought on impulse from a jeweler in Pioneer Square. Not proposal yet, but promise. He slipped it on. Eyes shining. Matching? Hell yeah. But betrayal's shadow lingered. Shape-shifting. A gallery email, Alex inquiring. Solo show? Elijah deleted it, but I saw. Tell me, I pressed later. Over stir-fry. Just noise. Dismissive. Too quick. Trust frayed. I scrolled his DMs one sleepless night, wrong, but paranoia a thief. Alex again. Coffee? Brainstorm. Innocent. Maybe. But the winky emoji twisted the knife. Confrontation brewed over brunch at Lupanier. Croissants crumbling like resolve. What's with Alex? He sighed. Butter knife pausing. Networking. That's it. looked personal. Jealousy flared in his eyes, mirrored mine. And Jordan was networking? Pot, kettle. Ouch. The wound reopened. That was then. This is us fighting now. We stormed out separate. Seattle's market bustle a blur. Hours later, his text, meet at the park. Please. Lone Fir Cemetery. Graves mossy under cedars, our spot for hard talks. He waited on a bench, face streaked. I'm sorry. Alex is pushy, but nothing's happened. I swear. I believe you. Half lie, half hope. But we can't keep circling this drain. He nodded, pulling me close. Therapy. Boundaries. And I turned down the show. For us. Tears came then. Mutual. Cathartic. We walked out hand in hand. Ghosts laid tentative. Summer peaked in heat waves. Rare for the PNW. Drawing us to Alki Beach. Bonfires crackling. Frisbees sailing. The Olympics purple across the water. Friends gathered Marcus grilling skewers. A chorus of queer couples swapping stories of first prides. Bad dates. Hard-won homes. Elijah sketched the scene, capturing laughter in charcoal strokes. That night, under stars smudged by city glow, I knelt on the sand. Elijah Harper, partner, survivor, my north. Marry me? He laughed through tears, yes, tumbling out. Cheers erupted from the shadows. Ambush, Marcus's doing. Engagement buzzed. Rings exchanged proper. A courthouse wedding planned for fall. Backyard reception with mom's pies and dad's reluctant toast. But climax loomed. Unbidden. A call from Elijah's dad. Heart attack. Come home. Spokane's Inland Empire Medical Center hummed clinical. Dad pale in ICU. Tubes snaking. Mom hovered. Hollow-eyed. He asked for you, she said. Voice breaking. Both. Reconciliation fractured open. Dad's grip weak on Elijah's hand. Heard about. You too. Was wrong. Hard-headed fool. Tears tracked his cheeks. Love's love. Don't waste it like I did. Elijah wept. Forgiveness a bomb. We stayed weeks, nursing him home to their rancher. Fields golden under big skies. I fixed the truck. Elijah cooked. Family. Uneasy but mending. Back in Seattle. Changed. Elijah's art surged. A series on fractured bonds. Selling out at a local co-op. My sculptures joined. Welded hearts from scrap. Logan Hayes. Blue-collar queer. But betrayal's echo? It taught vigilance. Not walls. We checked in daily. How's your heart? Open. Always. Fall wedding dawned crisp. Courthouse steps lined with rainbow banners. Vows simple. Through woods and cities. I choose you. Rings slid. Kiss sealed under cheers. Honeymoon. A cabin in the Olympics full circle. Rain pattered roof. Fire crackled. Bodies entwined. Happy, I whispered. Whole, his smile. Dawn bright. Life's not fairy tale. Bills stack. Fights flare. Doubts whisper. But in America's messy heart, we carved space. Two men, once lost, now found. Human, flawed, loved. The first year of marriage unfolded like a road trip across the Badlands. Stunning vistas pocked with ruts, unexpected detours demanding grit. Elijah's fractured bonds exhibit toured. Seattle to Portland, whispers of San Francisco. I tagged along when shifts allowed, hauling crates of framed ink in the Tacoma's bed, crashing in artist lofts that smelled of turpentine and takeout. Husband points. He'd tease, kissing me quick before panels, his curls wild under gallery lights. But the grind wore. Portland's rain mirrored Seattle's, endless gray seeping into bones. One night, post-talk at Powell's, a fan lingered mid-20s, earnest with a man bun. Your work saved me, he gushed to Elijah. Coming out last year. Your story gave me courage. Elijah beamed, signing a print. But I caught the shadow, the weight of being icon, pedestal precarious. In the hotel bar later, over Manhattan's, he deflated. What if I'm just hype? One viral piece. And poof, forgotten. You're not. I cupped his face, thumb on his wedding band. You're the guy who survived the quinalt. This, just bonus. San Francisco dazzled, Mission District's murals vibrant, Castro's pulse queer and unapologetic. We wandered hate, hands linked, buying crystals from a shopkeeper who winked. Soulmates, clear as quartz. But Elijah's energy flagged, calls from the gallery grew terse, sales soft. Push the personal angle. Back home, momentum stalled. My shop boomed, economy rebounding, custom jobs rolling. But overtime meant late dinners, apologies over microwaved lasagna. Miss you, he'd say, sketching alone, the apartment echoing. Cracks widened with Elijah's folks. Dad's recovery plateaued. A stroke stole words, leaving him frustrated in the rancher, mom caretaker weary. Visits strained. Thanksgiving in Spokane. Dad's eyes pleading silent forgiveness. Elijah reading to him from dog-eared westerns. He's proud. Mom whispered post-meal. Pie cooling on the sill. Just can't say it. Christmas brought surprise. A letter, shaky script from Dad. Son, watch sunset over the Palouse. Remember, love's the real frontier. Yours, Pop. Elijah framed it, hung by our bed. But betrayal revisited, sly as fog. A joint exhibit invite, Hudson Valley, couple's residency. Together, the email promised. Tempting woods again, but curated. We applied, accepted. Packed light, drove east through Badlands Echo, arriving at a stone farmhouse nestled in Catskills folds. Residency was idle at first. Shared studio overlooking orchards, mornings hiking leaf-strewn trails, afternoons welding while he drew. This is us, Elijah said, charcoal smudged, as I twisted rebar into abstract lovers. Evenings. Communal dinners with other artists, lesbian potters from Brooklyn, trans sculptors from Chicago, stories swapped over wine, laughter healing old wounds. Alex resurfaced. Innocuous. A curator contact. Feedback email on Elijah's portfolio. He's legit, Elijah assured, deleting the thread. But I glimpsed replies. Flirty undertones? Paranoia? Or pattern? Doubt festered. One dusk. Studio quiet. I confronted. Alex again? He paused. Brush midstroke. Collaborator. Why? The winks. The late nights brainstorming. Voice rose. Ugly. Am I paranoid? Or history repeating? Hurt flashed. Nothing. God. Logan. After all this, words escalated. My absences blamed. His networking dissected. You think I'm like Jordan? He shouted, palate clattering. That I'll throw us away? I don't know. Truth slipped. The fear, bone deep, of not measuring up, mechanic to artist, small town holdover to rising star. He stormed out, into the woods. Panic surged. I followed, twilight deepening, leaves crunching underfoot. Elijah, trails forked, familiar dread. Branches clawed, heart-pounding déjà vu, the Quinault's ghost. Then voices, his, laughing, low, intimate. I burst into a clearing, Elijah and Alex, by a fire pit, shoulders touching, a bottle passed. Not kissing, but close, too close. Logan, Elijah startled, scrambling up. Alex smirked. Bad timing, get out, my voice steel. Alex slunk off, but damage bloomed. Back at the farmhouse, accusations flew. It was nothing, fine. Talk, looked like more, paced, fists clenched. Tell me I'm wrong, tears streamed. You're not. Flirted. Stupid. Lonely. But I stopped. Came to you. Betrayal bisected us. Sharp as a cleaver. Why? Fear, bro. Success scares me. What if I peek? And you see the fraud? Alex. Easy validation. And me? Dead weight. No. He grabbed my shirt. Anchor. But I drowned in it sometimes. We collapsed. Sobbing. The residency's idol shattered. Others tiptoed, offering space. Days blurred. Separate hikes. Silent suppers. I welded rage into metal, jagged hearts. Soldered shut. He drew isolation. Lone figures in vast woods. Climax crested storm swept. A gala in Rhinebeck. Our joint show opening. Drove tense. Hudson glittering under harvest moon. Gallery hummed. Critics in tweed. Collectors with checkbooks. Our pieces hung entwined. His inks bleeding into my steel. Wild Hearts titled. A manifesto unspoken. Toasts rang. Pioneers. But midway, Alex cornered Elijah. Murmur low. I intervened. Hand on his arm. Excuse us. Outside. Alley damp. Words erupted. He's poison. I know. Elijah whirled. I cut him off. Today. Proof. Deleted emails. Blocked number. Why hide? Pride. He sank against brick. Didn't want to fail you again. I pulled him close. Rain starting. We fail together. Or not at all. Kiss in the downpour. Fierce reclamation. Inside. We owned the night. Elijah's speech halting. Honest. This man pulled me from edges. Literal and not. Art's our scar. Our story. Sales boomed. A collector snapped the diptych for 5 figures. Buzz followed. Art forum feature. Queer couples redefining rustic romance. We left early. Drove winding roads to a cabin overlook. Fire built. Bodies warmed. Love remade slow. Forgiveness a verb. Active and aching. Residency ended transformed. Back west. We bought a fixer in West Seattle. Craftsman with a yard. Studio in the garage. I taught welding workshops at a community center. Elijah mentored at youth arts for LGBTQ+ kids. Life stabilized. But conflict evolved. Not betrayal, but balance. One spring gale. Power out. We huddled by candlelight. Remember the cave? He asked, tracing my palm. First truths. I smiled. More to come. Always. Vow renewed. But humanism's core, imperfection embraced. Dad passed quiet that summer. Peaceful. Palouse sunset framing his bed. Elijah eulogized. Voice steady. He found his way home. Grief bonded. Therapy deepened. We volunteered at the center. sharing our tale, lost, found, lost again, but loves the map. Anniversary hike, Quinault trailhead, plaque marking our fall. Full circle, Elijah said, ring glinting. Yeah, hand in hand, woods whispering welcome. Years layered like sedimentary rock, each stratum a testament to endurance. Cracks mended with gold, kintsugi style. By our 5th anniversary, the West Seattle craftsman stood proud. Herb garden bursting sage in time, garage studio humming with Elijah's easel and my forge's glow. We'd traded the Tacoma for a hybrid Subaru, eco-conscious nod to the wild that birthed us. But adventures persisted, road trips to Yellowstone, where geysers erupted like emotions unchecked. Elijah's star ascended steady. A children's book deal, woods whispers, illustrations of boys finding courage in ferns. Readings at Elliott Bay drew families. Rainbow stickers on covers a quiet revolution. Daddy's book, our neighbor's kid would say, and Elijah beam, curls graying at temples like frost on pines. Kids, we talked, circled. Foster certification loomed, paperwork mountains, but hearts tugged. When? I'd ask over breakfast omelets, his feet in my lap. Soon, smile soft. Right time, my welding evolved, public commissions, a sculpture garden at the Olympic Sculpture Park, abstract figures entwined, titled Entangled Roots. Dedication Day, mayor's speech lauding queer artisans shaping Seattle's soul, Elijah squeezing my hand amid applause. Family wove tighter. Mom hosted holidays now, turkey alongside tofurkey, Dad's absence a gentle ache. Elijah's mom visited often, bringing spoken pies, her Bible shelved beside Audre Lorde. Proud, she'd say, hugging fierce. A brother emerged, Elijah's estranged sib, coming out late, seeking bridges. Barbecues mended, beers shared under string lights. But conflict never quits, it morphs. Elijah's book tour pulled him East Coast stretches, hotel loneliness a thief. Texts bridged, miss your snore. But one call, Chicago layover, voice distant. Everything okay? Pause heavy. Galleries pushing memoir. The overdose. Jordan. Our fights. Raw authenticity. My gut twisted. Your story. But ours? Private. I know. Weariness. But exposure's the game. Game soured. Promo clips leaked. Him on stage. Voice cracking on betrayal's blade. My name anonymized but shadow clear. Backlash brewed online, trolls in replies. Trauma porn for likes. Support flooded too. DMs from fans. Your pain saved me. I stewed silent. Welding sparks flying like suppressed fury. Confrontation brewed over tour's end dinner. Canless. City lights winking below. Feels like exposure without consent. He set fork down. Eyes pained. I blurred names. Protected us. But not the heart. Voice low. Our mess. Mind for profit. Debate stretched. Art's ethics. Vulnerability's cost. It's healing, he argued. Owning the dark. And dragging me through it? Counter. I'm proud. But boundaries. Truce tentative. Co-write clause. My veto on details. Therapy unpacked. My aversion rooted in Copdad's stoicism. Keep it in. His an artist's drive. Truth sets free. Summer solstice brought pivot. Foster placement. Theo. 12. Towhead with wary eyes. Bounced from homes after Dad's abandonment. Temporary, the social worker said. But his first sketch, us three hiking, stick figures hand in hand, sealed it. Parenting crashed waves. School runs in the Subaru. Parent-teacher nights where I fidgeted in khakis. Elijah charming with art supplies. Theo's questions pierced. Why me? Why now? Answers honest. Love's not blood. It's choice. Challenges mounted. Theo's meltdowns. Nights screaming, "You're not real," tested us. Elijah drew with him, therapy crayons channeling rage. I built forts in the yard, forts of scrap and story, teaching resilience. Woods break you open, but you grow stronger. Betrayal echoed in Theo's tale. Biodad's return, custody whispers. Court loomed, tension coiling. Elijah paced. What if we lose him? We fight. Resolve steel. Hearing day. Pierce County Courthouse. Social workers report glowed, stable home. Queer but nurturing. Judge nodded. Guardianship granted. Congratulations. Tears flowed unchecked. Theo's hug bone crush. Dads? He whispered. Always. Climax crested personal. Elijah's diagnosis. Slipped disc from tour halls. Surgery looming. Can't draw, he fretted. Bedbound. Studio gathering dust. I adapted voice memos for his book sequel. Rivers run deep. Theo read aloud. Voice piping earnest. Recovery stretched. But community rallied, friends with meals. Alex redeemed. Distant. Sending care crate. Art books. No strings. Fall harvest. Pain eased. Elijah wheeled to the studio. First stroke. Us. Theo between. Woods framing. Family, he titled. Kundu came. Adoption final. Backyard party with pies and promises. Theo. 13 now. Chose hyphen. Theo Hayes Harper. Vows renewed under oaks. Through floods and falls. We choose. Years rippled. Theo's prom. Date a shy artist kid. College apps. UW bound like us. Elijah's gallery in Pioneer Square. Harper Hayes Collective. My steel beside his ink. Lectures shared. Love's wilderness. Navigate together. Old age crept gentle. Gray in my beard. Elijah's limp from the back. But hands clasped on porch swings. Sound lapping eternal. Grandkids? Theo's twins. Romping yard. Demanding wood stories. One eve. Sunset gilding Olympics. Elijah leaned head on shoulder. Regrets? None. Kiss soft. You? Lost once. Found forever. Humanism's arc. Not perfection, but persistence. In America's vast, flawed heart, from Seattle rains to Spokane plains, we etched legacy. Two men, once hidden, now beacons. Secrets out, love unbound, woods whispering well done.